What 5 things have you already accomplished that you're proud of? That you've already accomplished that you're proud of. Next question. What do you want in the next 10 years? I want you to make a list of at least 50 items. Now, this is not what you think you can get. This is what you want. If everything fell into place and you could have anything you wanted in the next 10 years, what would that list be? Not something you think you can earn, not something you think you can buy, not something you think you can, finally be so successful you can get. This is what would really do it for you the next 10 years. I want you to make this list. And here's the deal now. I want you to put each item one under the other. Not side by side, but one under the other. And make as long a list as you possibly can in the time I'm going to give you. One underneath the other, because we're going to do some things with this list when you finish. Okay? Just start writing now as fast as you can. Abbreviate where you can. Make a longer list. If something's private, put it in code so nobody could figure it out if they got a hold of this list. One underneath the other. As fast as you can write. Just let your dreams, run free here. Not what you think you can get, but what you want. If everything fell into place and you could have whatever you wanted the next 10 years, what would that be? Little things, major things, insignificant things, doesn't matter. Just make the list. Places you want to visit. I've been to a lot of countries, but I got a long list of countries I haven't been to yet. Last year I checked Cyprus off my list. What countries haven't you been to that you'd like to visit the next 10 years? Cities you'd like to visit. I've never been to Venice. I've been around the world and all over Italy, and I've never been to Venice, so it's on my list. I haven't been to Egypt. I haven't been to Saudi Arabia. You'd think I've been everywhere, 39 years. Not yet. What experiences would you like to have in the next 10 years? Parachute out of an airplane, star in a movie, play in a rock and roll band, win a gold medal in the Olympics, start a new family, try a new sport. What do you want for your children? That's a whole list in itself. Education, places you want to take them. What new skill would you like to learn over the next 10 years? When I started learning new skills at age 25, it changed my life. I learned sales, multiplied my income by 5 first year. I learned how to find good people, recruiting, multiplied my income some more. Learned how to organize, learned how to promote, rewarding people for small steps of progress. I became so good at that, my income went crazy. Maybe you'd like to give seminars, write some books. The next 10 years. Some things right away, within the next year, some on out there. Benevolence goals. Maybe you've got a long list of projects you'd like to support. Now, this is not what you think you can do. This is what you'd really like to do. Mark Hughes had a passion for helping kids that had drug problems. One year he gave $8 million. $8 million. When I first met him, he couldn't give 800. Finally, he could give 8 million. Andrew Carnegie said, I'm going to spend the first half of my life accumulating money, and I'm going to spend the last half of my life giving it all away. That's big time. In the first half of his life, he accumulated $400 million, which back then was a lot of money. Guess what he did the last half of his life? He gave it all away. So keep your list going. What's got you turned on? Maybe you've been turned off until you got here this weekend. I want you to start working on turning your lights on for accomplishments. You can't believe what you can accomplish if you'll just work hard on this list now. It's amazing how adults have, a problem with this, right? Let's see. And kids don't have any problem. They'd be asking for extra sheets of paper by now. Kids say, you mean anything I want the next 10 years? Yes, write it all down. They would go like crazy. A cabin in the mountains, upstairs maid, a cook, a chauffeur. How about your investments, properties? One of my goals was someday to be financially independent. We're going to talk about that a little later. My father convinced me years and years ago that someday I should be debt-free, owe no one anything. My mother and father practiced that. When I inherited the estate, all the lands and the house and the buildings and the things and the cars and everything, guess how much was owing when I inherited it all? 0. Not 1 penny. Everything free. It is a glorious feeling for no one to have a claim on anything you got. Maybe you want to be in the top 10 in wealth. Is Bill Gates still number 1? The top 10 or the top 20? whatever. Maybe you're working on a new invention. Congratulations, someday, who knows? Make a list of your health goals. Got to have a good physical support system over the next 10 years. How healthy do you want to be? Eliminate some illnesses, eliminate some weaknesses. Get strong for competition in the 21st century. One of my goals was to have a residence in each season, for each season. Finally check that off my list. So I could spend winter here and summer here, autumn here and spring here. Residence for each season. An apartment in Manhattan, a ranch in Brazil. What would really do it for you the next 10 years? Some goals for your career, your business. I put a little revenge on my first list. Some of the people that said I couldn't do well, they were on that first list. Couldn't wait to get my new car, drive it up on their lawn, and say, oh, pardon me, here's the money to have it fixed. I mean, I had some stuff on my list. Something that would give you incredible satisfaction. Old Testament, God says, vengeance is mine, all mine. No wonder he wants it all. It feels so good. If I was God, I'd want it all. What would really do it for you? Some scores to settle, gently but deliberately. My Japanese friend, Toru Ikeda, San Jose, California, put on his first list, a Caucasian gardener. I thought, hey, that's good, Toru. What would do it for you? A hobby you'd like to start. Collecting. New car, become a race driver. I got this neat little motorhome, right? Put the dirt bike on the back, away I go. I'm now putting a fax machine in my motorhome so I can be a little more in touch even when I'm gone. Here's my new mode for the future. In touch and out of reach. That's the new deal. So yes, you can, right? You can contact him, but you can't find him. For a while, he's gone. So, what is your goal for the future? To get away, something that would really serve you well in terms of refreshing, change of pace, skills you want to help teach your children. I taught my girls how to swim, how to dive. Such great satisfaction when they used to say, watch me, Daddy, watch me. Look how good I am. You taught me, watch me. Got a good phrase for you. This is a good one to put in here. All life seems to wish to reward its benefactor. All life wishes to reward its benefactor. If you take especially good care of the flowers, they will bloom especially bright for you. If you teach your children, they will want to show off for you. Daddy, look how good I am. All life takes delight in rewarding its benefactor. What classes would you like to teach? My friend Lydia Colon, who 20 years ago invested $1, now she's a millionaire. One of her specialties is helping young parents do a little marriage counseling. Right? Some of those early years, right? 2, 3, 4, 5 years, those early years are pretty tough to get through. What specialty would you like to learn? Make a contribution to society. Make a contribution to your community. Does most everybody have a list of 50 now? Okay, that's almost everybody. Okay, now put a little star there, right, that says you can continue this list. This doesn't mean this is all you get. Say, no, this is just to get you started. Because I promise you, when you get back home, you'll think of 50 more and 50 more and 50 more that you couldn't think of while you were here. And this list can grow and grow and grow. Now, here's what this also means. If you have a lot more time than we have today, you can take plenty of time to just have people make as long a list as, possible. Okay, now we're going to do some things with this list. Here's the next exercise. I want you to look at each item on this list you've made and give each item a number. The number being a 1, 3, 5, or 10. And this is why. I want you to look at an item and say, I think that would take about 1 year. Another item, you say, I think that would take about 3 years. Another item, I think that would take 5. And another item, looks like that's going to take 10. Give each item now a number of what you think it might take to achieve that goal. A 1, a 3, a 5, or a 10. Just somewhere close. Doesn't have to be exact. That's about a 1. That's about a 3-year goal. That's about a 5-year goal. That's about a 10-year goal. If it's less than 1 year, just make it a year. If it's more than 10, just make it 10. 10 plus. Running a marathon. Now, as soon as you've given each item a number, I want you to now go through and count them. How many 1s? How many 3s? How many 5s? How many 10s? And then just make a little list of those numbers. How many 1s, 3s, 5s, 10s? This is going to be interesting. How many of you had no 10-year goals? Okay, quite a few, right? Isn't that interesting? Here's what that means. You're not thinking out that far. You're thinking more short-term than long-term. If someone had 0, someone had 14, That's a lot of difference in thinking long range. So that's all that's for, is just to help you to think more long range. Okay, now make these notes. When you've accomplished some goals, you need some more to accomplish. Next, it's very important when you reach a goal that's significant or important to you to celebrate. So just jot that down. Celebrate a significant accomplishment. Or it doesn't have to be that significant. If it's important to you, it doesn't have to be world-changing or life-changing. If it's just a goal that's really important to you, you finally reached it. Celebrate. Now, hopefully on your list of goals, you had some family goals. And if the family together finally reaches a goal, jot this down. Celebrate with the family. And if you're checking it off, let each member of the family put their check mark on this goal, because the whole family worked on this one. Now, here's what this will do. It will help each member of your family to make a longer list of goals. Wow, if we can accomplish this, think of what else we could do. The same is true of you individually. When you accomplish something, check it off, celebrate. It'll help you to grab your lists, wherever it is, and say, hey, if I can get here, I can double that original list. So celebration creates excitement to develop a longer list. You also need goals ongoing. When the early astronauts went to the moon, some of them, when they came back from the moon, had psychological problems. Some of them drank too much, got into other difficulties. And one of the reasons is, where do you go now that you've been to the moon? So here's what they did later. They made sure that the astronauts later who came back from the moon had plenty of projects to keep them busy after they had been to the moon. And the same is true of you and me. Goals, after you've reached them, another list. After you've reached those, another list. My father lived to be 93. You can't imagine the goals he had. One of his goals when he was 92 was to get his driver's license renewed. Guess what he got it renewed for? 4 years. At age 92, he got his driver's license renewed for 4 years. Now, he didn't live long enough to, if he'd have thought about it more, I think he would have lived 2 or 3 more years just to make sure he filled all that out. Unbelievable. So, goals to replace goals that you've achieved, on and on, the rest of your life. Because the philosophy we discussed yesterday was what? How far should you go? Far as you can. How many books should you read? As many as you can. How many friends should you make? As many as you can. How much should you earn? As much as you can. That's it. What should you try to be? All you possibly can. And that's the purpose of this exercise, is just to stretch you, get you to think, get you to wonder, get you to ponder. I wonder what might be possible. If I could get everything I wanted, what would that be? Now, here's the next exercise. Okay, jot down the question. On your list of one-year goals, which are the 4 most important? So now I want you to go back over your one-year goals and pick out the 4 most important. Now, if you've only got 4 now, this is an easy exercise. But you might add some more to your one-year list if you haven't got enough. And then pick out the 4 most important. This is what turned me on at age 25. Goals for accomplishment and personal progress. Once the fires were lit for me, I'm telling you, they have never gone out. Since I was 25 years old, no one has ever said to me, when are you gonna get going? When are you gonna get off the couch? When are you gonna get off the... I've never heard that since I was 25 and got all this taken care of. Here's what I've heard since I was 25. When are you gonna slow down? You can't visit that many countries, you're gonna have a heart attack and die. By the way, you might stop and jot these notes down. Here's two excellent questions to jot down. And this is for mature people now, because these are kind of tough questions, especially one. Here's the first question. What's got you turned on? That's a good list to make. Here's what's got me turned on. Here's what's got me up early, staying up late, maximizing my abilities all day long. Here's the list of what's got me turned on. Now here's the next question. What's got you turned off? How come you don't have the zest and the vitality and the appetite for daily accomplishment? I started making a list of the things that had me turned off. And once I got that settled and then started making a list of what had me turned on and what would turn me on in the future, I'm telling you, my life has never been the same. It was like a revolution, a personal revolution, a 180-degree turn. I can't say it strong enough. It's easy to get lazy in designing the day and designing the year and designing the future and designing what you want to accomplish and just cross your fingers and hope it'll all work out, that the favorable winds will blow it all your way. I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. So this is the part of the exercise. It's just, buckling down, making this list. And you got to continue this long after we've, turned out the lights and we've all gone home. Keep this up. And one of the best ways to keep it up, I've already covered yesterday, is what? Teach it. Key is to teach it. Jan was right. You don't need recognition. Just go give everybody you can think of that deserves it recognition. And your own self-satisfaction is recognition enough. If they never put a crown on your head, who cares? Okay, the 4 most important one-year goals. Have you got those identified? Okay, now here's the next exercise. This will take now just a little bit of time. And the question is why? Why are those 4 goals important to you? Because the why is very important, and I'm going to give you some notes on that a little bit later. So just start a little paragraph. Why those 4 goals are important to you. And then we'll put a little star there that says continue this later. This is a good question to ask kids. Kids said, here's what I'd like to have, and you say, why is that? And if they can start describing the why. So now make these notes. Put a little star there now, and that star means that, you can add to it later. So make these notes now. Here's the first one. When the why gets stronger, the how gets easier. When the why gets big, powerful, strong, how seems to be so much easier. Without a strong enough why, the how seems to be too difficult almost to accomplish. Say, how do you manage your time? Hey, if you had strong and powerful enough goals, you'd figure out how to manage your time. You'd get a book on the subject. You'd do something to manage your time if it was worth it. If it's not worth it, why would you bother studying the art of managing your time if it really doesn't matter? But if it really mattered in the accomplishment of your goals and why you wish to accomplish them, see, you can do anything. You can get up any hour, read any book, take any class, make any change, develop any skill, do any discipline. You can do it all. When this how and the why, or when the why starts to grow, the how gets simple. Excellent question to ask children. Why? What for? Little note. Maybe one of your goals was to have $1 million home on the hill overlooking Snake River Valley. That'd be a good goal. $1 million home. Here's the next question. What for? What for? A house is a house is a house with bricks and wood and walls and roof. Key, yes, $1 million home. That'd be wonderful, but what for? So now jot this down. Purpose is stronger than object. The object would be the house, and that'll pull. That's a worthy goal to go for, the object of the house. But here's a stronger goal, the purpose for the $1 million home. You say, well, it'll be the centerpiece of all the family's activity with all kinds of unique people coming and going and the influence and things will be happening in this place. See, now we're getting somewhere. So if you got that line, it's one of my best for the whole day. Purpose is stronger than object. It's okay to have plenty of objects to go for on your goal list. But always keep asking yourself the question, and sometimes it's good to just write it out. Here's why I want this money. Here's why I want this place. Here's why. And you start developing those reasons. And I'm telling you now, this starts to become incredibly powerful. Now here's some more notes. Napoleon Hill talks about personality. You need a pleasing personality. There's many parts to your personality. One is your working personality. The kind of behavior, the kind of attitude that you need, especially in the public. Some things you can kind of get by with, being a little careless, maybe in private. But in public, where it counts so much in your paycheck, it counts so much in building your business for the future, your own personality. But here's what you also must remember. You develop your personality in private so that it serves you well in the public. Sometimes we get the mistaken idea, I can be careless with just these few and be more careful when I have 1,000. But see, that doesn't work that way. Careless with a few, sure enough, that will creep into your presentation for 1,000 people. Here's the best practice, and the Herbalife opportunity in our marketing systems gives you the best chance to do that. The influence you have one-on-one, that's what really counts. You say, well, I'm only talking to 2 people, it doesn't matter much. That's when it really matters. Because if you'll practice well there, using your personality, using your influence, to get someone's attention, to get them to listen, to get them to participate, the kind of personality that someone says, I'd like to be around this person. They're unusual. They're not like the average person I meet on my everyday experience. That kind of personality. But you've got to practice it behind the scenes. You've got to practice it one-on-one. And if you're effective one-on-one, 1-on-3, 1-on-5, I promise you, that will get you ready to now perform with the kind of personality, the kind of charisma that wins people when you're in front of 500 people, 1,000 people, 5,000. So this is a good point. working on your personality. Here's the best gift you can give someone, and that's the gift of attention. Attention is so powerful. When I was a young man, I met Nelson Rockefeller, one of the richest men in America at that time. He's gone now, but he was a unique individual, ran for vice president of the United States. And I had a chance to be where he was holding a press conference. And I got close enough so that when he walked out, I had a chance to step up, right, when security was not all that severe in those days. And I had a chance to put out my hand, shake his hand, and say, "Mr. Rockefeller, my name is Jim Rohn." And what I remember most was the attention he gave me. With the lights of the cameras around and everybody all around, he looked right at me and said, "Jim Rohn, where are you from?" I said, "Idaho." He said, "I really like Idaho. It's one of my favorite states in all of the country." And for just a few seconds, he gave me his attention, shook my hand. I'll never forget the handshake, right? One of those multi-million-dollar handshakes. But I'll never forget that personal attention he gave me, just for a few seconds. It was powerful. Made an impression on me that's lasted until this day. That's why I remember to tell the story. So, same thing you can learn to do. Utilize your personality, utilize your influence, give people the gift of attention. Here's the rest of my list now as we finish up. Next, Napoleon Hill said a leader needs sympathy and understanding. We have to develop that early in our lives. All of our lives, we have to look at those that are less fortunate than we are, those who need a helping hand, and especially now we learn to look at those who need an opportunity, those who need a change in their health, those who need a change in their life and in their lifestyle. It's this kind of sympathy and understanding that drove Mark Hughes to construct the company. It took that kind of understanding, that kind of sympathy, that kind of deep emotional feeling. Then Mark understood what it meant to be poor. He understood what it meant not to have. He understood what it meant to be short on finances, on resources. He understood what it meant to lack, a full formal education. He knew all of those lacks. And instead of crying about it, he said, what I will do is change it for myself, and then I'll help other people that have the same challenge. Lack of education, lack of the money, lack of the resources, lack of good health, faced with all kinds of difficulties they can't solve. I'll get mine solved, and then I'll be strong enough and have the skills to where I can help other people. That kind of leadership quality is so powerful. That kind of understanding. Here's the next one. A leader must have, Napoleon said, a mastery of the details. How very true. All can be lost with just a couple of missing details. On the trip to the moon, everything has to work, right? There's several thousand moving parts. There's several thousand pieces to the project of getting to the moon and coming back, and all of them have to work. You can't have 10% of them working, 90% or 80%. They've all got to work. And then there's the backup systems for something if something goes wrong to back it up. That kind of mastery of detail is so vitally important. But here's what else to remember as far as Herbalife is concerned. The drama is in the details. Someone says, I lost 30 pounds. Well, 30 pounds is 30 pounds, but that's not the drama. The drama is, where were you before you found Herbalife? How did you feel? What kind of circumstances? Now someone begins to give us some of the details. And then after they've lost the weight, now how they feel. Now their self-confidence has been restored. Now they feel better about themselves. The drama is in the details. But this is also important in the details of your day, the details of your business, the details of good communication. Master the details. Good advice, Napoleon Hill. Now here's the next three. Willingness to assume full responsibility. All of us have been taught that, especially these Herbalife years, to take full 100% responsibility. Mark Hughes says, what happened to me might not have been my responsibility, but what I do about it is my full responsibility. I've had some people did me wrong.
in his first couple of business experiences. He was done wrong. Some people ran off with the money. He was left holding the bag. But he said, that's what happened. And I was not responsible for what happened. But I am responsible for saying to myself, now, what am I going to do about what's happened? If a hailstorm destroys the farmer's crop, he wasn't responsible for that. But his responsibility now begins when the hailstorm is over, when he asks the question of himself, what should I do now? Now that this catastrophe is over, now that the damage is done, now what should I do about it? And a philosophy I've taught all these years, it's not what happens to you that determines your future. It's what you do about what happens that determines your future. And this is a major part of it, accepting full responsibility. If you've got an organization, you're conducting meetings, and you're the leader, the responsibility ends with you. Someone else may mess up, make some mistakes, still your responsibility. Some things over which you have no control, understandable. But what you do about it now, how you fix it, the diplomacy you use, the strategy you use, that's the kind of responsibility now that depends on you. Also, you've got to be responsible for your future. Nobody's going to fix it. No one else is going to design it. No one else is going to come along and say, hey, I will make sure it all works well for you. You've got to take all the input. You've got to take all the testimonials, all the teaching, all the training, all the influence. Then you've got to have the responsibility of designing your life. You can design a life of prosperity, or you can design a life just to coast and get by. The responsibility belongs to you. Now here's the last two. Next is cooperation. One of the great things we learn in Herbalife is how to cooperate so that we take advantage of each other's ideas, we take advantage of each other's input, we take advantage of each other's enthusiasm, we take advantage of each other's testimonial, and we take advantage of each other's willingness to grow. That kind of cooperation has built Herbalife. In those early days, Mark got the group together. Jerry Shatanovich, Doug Stuntz, the rest, and made some plans to cooperate. Said, no telling what kind of powerful meetings we can have if we work together. No telling how many people we can affect, even right away, if we work together. You do this part, you do this part, I'll do this part, we'll make it work together, and we'll get the ball rolling. There's an ancient phrase that says, if two or three agree, nothing is impossible. If they agree on the same project, if they agree on the same vision, if they agree on how to get there, I'm telling you, nothing is impossible. Nothing can stand in their way. Just two or three. What's exciting about Herbalife is now we have more than two or three. The president's team now is well populated. Even the chairman's club is growing. The millionaire team is awesome in its numbers as well as in its power. And the cooperation between all of us on the tabulator teams, as distributors, home office, support staff, 15th floor, wherever we come from. If we cooperate, there's nothing we can't do. There isn't anyone we can't touch. There is no country we can't finally get to with this incredible story. Cooperation. That's why I'm here, wanting to do my part, HBN, send out some ideas, give you some notes to take, something to think about and ponder, something to talk about with the people that you associate with and are building your business. That kind of cooperation is going to make this a powerful year. It'll get us to the 2 billion, 3 billion, 5 billion. But it'll get us to much more than just those numbers. It'll get us to a place of honor, respect, prestige, influence, feeling good about ourselves for the hard work that we're doing, cooperating with each other. I want to cooperate with you, helping build your business. All of us cooperate with the support system of Herbalife. We're on our way. We will have the billions. We'll have the stories. We'll have the experiences.